Right, everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to cover front end SEO. So if we look at the whole funnel here and you go to the section here where the lead notices your business. So if you're a service business, these tricks can apply to you and you want more leads to notice your business. Well, one thing you can do is improve your Google SEO, which is almost the same thing as your Bing SEO, but anyways, we're going to go into details there later on. And you want to optimize your front end SEO. So this video is just going to cover this aspect here. We're actually going to cover also our training. So we have this whole document here, which you could download in the description below for free. So if ever you want access to this, you could take it. And we're going to be talking about basically every single improvement that you can make in terms of your front end SEO. So first things first, what is front end SEO and how does it even affect your business? So basically front end SEO is talking about, I'll give you guys the example here, Roofer NYC. If somebody's searching up your business or the type of business you're in, the industry, they're going to see this. So this might be your business. So you could see the name of the business, you have the domain here, you have your title tag and your meta description. You could modify all these things within Google. And we're also going to talk about all the other things you could do. So you could even ask, you can even add things like here you have snippets. This is with sponsored, but depending on they're not popping up in this one, but depending on, you see here, you have some more information here. So you could add those, you could modify all these things so that you appear, you take up more space on the, you see even the reviews here. So you can take up more space on the Google listing. So you can take up more space on Google, as well as increase your conversion rate. So basically the point of optimizing your front end SEO is twofold. One is to get you to rank higher on Google. So try to get more to the top spots. And then secondly is actually to increase your conversion rate. Because if you have all of this optimized properly, you can even increase the likelihood that somebody clicks on you. So not only do you increase the likelihood that you rank higher, but you also increase the likelihood that they click on you. So we're going to cover this in this video and also some other things as well. First thing I do want to mention, because maybe you guys are asking, okay, but what does that even have as an effect on your business? Well, what I want to mention here, first thing here is I'm going to go to our case studies. These are some businesses we worked with and the results that we've had for them. So here we have, as an example, Paris Hair Salon, Empire Barbershop, ClickShips Logistics Company, and Elko Roofing. All of them, we've had the ability to increase their visitors per month by at minimum a 2x. So I'll give you the example here. Unique visitors a month for Paris Hair Salons, 142% boost. Empire Barbershop, 101% boost. ClickShip, 110% boost. And let's say Elko Roofing, we got 308% boost. How do we achieve this? Well, in part, certain other ways. There's various ways we have achieved this, but the main way is optimizing SEO. Well, optimizing SEO is kind of redundancy, but improving your search engine optimization strategies. So we did front-end SEO, we did back-end SEO. In this case, in some other cases, we only did the front-end SEO, or we did minimal back-end. In any case, front-end SEO seems to be the one that has the largest effect right away, because these results are the month after we worked with them. Then you have other strategies in terms of SEO to get results more in the future. So link building SEO is an example of that. That takes time to set up and it takes time to take effect, basically. But in terms of front-end SEO, these you could probably get results straight away. So I'm not going to go into the case studies. We have a video going over that, but let's get into actually what it means to improve your front-end SEO. So let's get back here and let's get actually into the training. So let's get into the document here. Taking a little time to load because we're filming this video. All right. So front-end SEO, also referred to as on-page SEO, involves optimizing all the visible parts of a website that interact directly with users and search engines. This is different than back-end SEO, which focuses on server-side and technical optimization. So basically everything that a person sees, we're optimizing it for, once again, conversions, as well as helping Google indicate to Google that is the certain keywords we're trying to rank for, to try to increase the likelihood that they actually put us at the top spot. Why should you optimize? We talked about that a little bit. So basically you could help rank higher, convert more clients, and it could be done rapidly. So it's a very good ROI strategy. It could be done the day, probably in a day, in 2 days, if you haven't done it properly yet, and you could get results probably the week after. So something like that. So first thing that's important for any type of SEO is keyword research. Keyword research meaning getting the best keywords. If we see here the graph, the ideal keyword is one that has the best balance between the difficulty of the competition, so having the lowest competition difficulty, having the highest intent match, meaning that whatever somebody's typing or whatever you're trying to rank for is exactly what the person is looking for. So an example of this is if you're a roofing company again, This applies to any service business. So if you guys are watching another type of service business, these things apply. In any case, I'm going to take the roofing example. It seems to be the most obvious one. So if you're a roofing company and you are trying to rank for a keyword that is roofing supplies, you don't sell roofing supplies. You don't. The intent of that keyword is not closely matched to what your actual service is. So what you actually want to do is have keywords rank. You're ranking for keywords that are roof repair in your city, roof repair in New York, roof repair in New York, immediate roof repair in New York. Those are the keywords you want. Those are highly matched with the intent of the person searching for it. And also there's different different how could you say, different levels to this, in the sense that like the highest intent keyword is somebody looking for your service, looking in your town and looking to do it immediately. Those are the people that are most likely to contact you. So you want to rank for those keywords first. Those are the highest intent match, because somebody who says roof repair is not as willing to deal with you or as ready to buy or as ready to get your service than someone who says roof repair in Montreal right now, or something like that. So the playing around with this is going to be more subjective, but competition difficulty, you could use software to measure it. That's going to be more straightforward. And then search volume, so how many people are actually searching it. So the ideal formula comes down to, if we see it here, let me go actually down. So how do you rank the keywords from best to worst? So an example of value scoring, actually let me show you the formula first. So the value of the keyword, so the score you would give the keyword, is your search volume, the amount of people searching for that keyword, times the intent to buy. So you would say that out of 100, let's say that person is 50% intent to buy, or 50 out of 100, and then divided by your competition score. So how difficult it is to compete. So you could use different scales for it. You can measure it different ways. It's going to give you different results. But basically what you want to do is just search volume. So the amount of searches that are made for a keyword. You can use tools like SEMrush to do this. So the amount of searches, let's say it's 1,000 searches. Intent to buy, how intent are they? We use a scale like this. So 0.01 to 1. 1 being very intent to buy. So if the person's at 0.8. Then after that, competition difficulty, same thing, 0.01 to 1. 1 being hyper competitive. Let's say they're also at a 0.8, and then you would take that, and that would be the score for your keyword. Then what you would then do is have a list of, let's say, the 500 keywords that even make sense in your business, and you rank order them based on these criteria. And then those ones that appear at the top are the ones you want to implement the most within your SEO, within your search engine optimization strategies. So whatever it may be, front end SEO, back end SEO, link building SEO, this is what you want to focus on the most, because those are the ones that are going to give you the most potential return for the least amount of work, or the least amount of friction, you could say. So an example here, roof design. So high in search volume, many people are searching for it, 12,450 searches a month, let's say, but it's very low intent to buy, because if you're a roofing company, someone typing this might not be looking to replace a roof. They might be just curious about roofing designs. So very low on intent to buy, and it's probably highly competitive. The difficulty of competition is probably high. So in this case, let's say the competition score was 0.85. Now the value of the keyword turns out to 732. So in this sense, not a very high priority keyword to try to rank for. Example 2, metal roof repair in 7 days for residential roof. This is probably low in search volume. So such a specific search, maybe 50 people are searching for in a year, because most people are going to search, abbreviations of things like this. They're not going to search out the whole thing, but when they do, you want to try to rank for it. Let's say 20 searches a month. It's super high intent to buy, because that person, if you're doing metal roof repair in 7 days for a residential roof, that's what you do. You want to attract that client, because that person is ready to buy. That person, they're going to go on your website. No matter what your website is, they're probably going to convert. They're probably going to end up contacting you. They want an answer now. So high intent to buy, so 0.99, let's say, and low competition, because only other businesses offering that exact service would rank for it. Or you have to see with the competition. This is just an assumption, but you have to see with the stats. In any case, low competition, so your score would even be higher. So you can see how a lower search term might be worth more to you as a business than a higher search that's getting more searches a month. Then after that, you have one that's probably the most balanced, that's going to get you the best results, is, let's say, roof repair Montreal, where the average searches are 560 a month, less than the initial word. The high intent to buy is lower than this one here, so at 0.85, but the competition is not too strong, not too low, it's at 0.8. That's going to give you a score that's monstrously better than these. So an example here, you could rank them all After that, you get them in the Excel sheet, whatever sheet you're using, you rank them up, and then you can say, okay, these are the value scores for all these keywords. Okay, I'm going to take these keywords, and these are going to be the main ones I'm going to use for every single title tag, meta description, and my URLs, my whatever type we're going to discuss later. You want to optimize it for that. So that's how you can see here. That just allows you to have a foundation after that. If you're doing your keyword optimizations, then you have a solid ground to step on. So now that we know which ones to choose, where and how to use them. So keywords that show on search results, Google, Bing. So like we were talking about before, title tags and meta descriptions. So these things here, everything that shows up basically when somebody's searching, and also keywords that show up on your website. So if you have a website, what are the actual keywords that are showing there? That's going to indicate to Google. That's going to indicate to Google that you are what you say you are, and they're going to rank you. They're going to try to match you with the person searching for that thing. And then secondly is also an increasing conversion rate, because if I'm a person typing on Google and I write roofing company Montreal, and the first page that I pop on, when I get to that page, it says roofing company Montreal as the title, I'm more likely to convert, because what I'm looking for is a roofing company Montreal. This is what they are, roofing company Montreal. I'm more likely to convert after that. So it's also a play in conversion rate. So there's part of front end SEO that's strictly for getting you higher on search engines, but there's also a part for conversion rate. So if I go back to our graph here, to our funnel, front end SEO affects Google SEO here. Again, it's taking a little time to load. So let's say here, so it increases the likelihood that a lead notices your business, but then it also increases the likelihood that when they inform themselves, they're actually going to increase in conversion rate. So we didn't put it here, but this is something to keep in mind when you're doing front-end SEO, that it actually helps conversion. So this is a trick that people do, is that let's say they have a website, instead of just having their main page, their home page, they might have 100 variations of their pages. It's called programmatic SEO. Basically, every single one of those pages is trying to target a different keyword. So let's say this is just the gist of it. We're going to talk about this later, but you have roofing company Montreal, roofing company Laval, roofing company every city around your main spot, let's say, and you have a page dedicated to every single one of those cities. So now when you're ranking on Google, and if those pages end up ranking on Google, when somebody types roofing company Laval, which is a city next to Montreal, roofing company Laval, and they go on your website and it's written roofing company Laval, there's a high likelihood they convert. So not only are you getting that traffic for roofing company Laval, you're also increasing the conversion rate. So you could get your title tag and your meta description to mention roofing companies in Laval, and then even your page to mention roofing companies in Laval. All that taken into consideration, increase the likelihood that someone's going to buy. So basically, you're attracting people at the top level super specifically on what they're searching, so that whenever they get down to your funnel, there's a high likelihood that they actually end up buying. So things to keep in mind while we're doing this. So let me get back here. And by the way, just as a side note, if you guys want to access our 12 trainings, so basically front-end SEO, back-end SEO, link building SEO, and all the other trainings we have, they're linked in the description for free. If you want access to this whole Miro board, this is a paid product, but if you guys want access to it, it's going to be linked in the description below, but or else you get access to the 12 trainings for free. So let's get back to this here, front-end SEO. Once again, still loading a little slow because of the video. Let me see if I can. All right, so how to optimize search results keywords for Google and Bing. Now, I mentioned Bing here. Most people might think, okay, Bing, it's useless. Nobody uses Bing. I think it's something like 6% of active users on search engines use Bing. So 6% of people dealing with your business in most cases are going to be using Bing. So it's important to actually just upload your sitemap, which we're going to talk about maybe in this video or the next one. Anyways, upload your sitemap and make some slight variations so that you're optimized for Bing as well. Because Google is the main one. You're going to have 90% of your traffic, then 6% to Bing, and then 4% to the rest of the search engines. So title tags, like we were mentioning before, this part here. So if we go to roofing NYC and we go back here, this is the title tag. So NY roofing, roofer Brooklyn, flat roof leak repair. You want to optimize it in a few ways. So let's get here. Again, with the video, you have to stop switching back and forth. All right, so what are title tags? Title tags are displayed on search engine results page as a clickable headline for a given result, that title that shows up on Google search. Why are they important? They affect the Google ranking, so it's going to help with Google ranking you higher, but they're also going to increase your conversion rates, so the likelihood that person is going to click on your actual thing, on your actual title tag. Best practices, just as rule of thumbs, be concise and descriptive. You want to be under 60 characters, because then after that you get cut off. So when you get cut off, when you get cut off, it's actually worse because you get truncated in the search results, and you end up appearing. Your appearance is cut. So if you have a word that's finishing, it's not going to finish. It's just going to be cut. So you want to keep it between 50 and 60, and you want to test it out because different characters have different spaces. So that's why it's 50, 60. It might be 55, it might be 57, and whatever. Because if you have a bunch of L's, they're going to be tightly knit, so you could have more characters. But if you have longer characters, like an M's, let's say, they're going to take up more space. So anyways, you have to test this out. There's a bunch of software to test these things out. In any case, long tail keywords inclusion in front loading. So basically what you want to do is take that best keyword that you had. So let's say if we're going here, we had roof repair services was the best keyword we had. In your title tag, you want to put that at the front. So in this example, I didn't actually use that example, that keyword. But in any case, you want it to be at the front. So if it's roofing Montreal, you want roofing Montreal to be at the front of the title tag, and then the rest of the information. Maybe you want to put your business name or whatever other type of information you want to put. In any case, you want the best keywords to be at the front, the second best keywords to be second, the third best keyword to be third, and then that fits within 50 to 60 characters, or until it's cut off, basically. So that helps you for search engines. Now, I don't have statistics because it's tough to gauge how much of an effect, how much of an effect it has or it doesn't have or whatever. So these are the type of things you have to test out. The theory behind it is that this is the best way to do it, and this is what has shown to have results for people. But in any case, these are things you want to test out because they're the easiest things to test out. So you create the title tag, a month from now you see the results. You create another one, you see a month from now you see the results. Like it takes you 5 minutes to change. But in any case, important to test these things out because it's not a guarantee that this is the best strategy. It's just the most obvious or most prominently used strategy out there in the market right now. Brand positioning. So if your brand is a well-known brand, a well-known business, you should put it. So let's say if I'm giving a crazy example, if you're Apple, you want people to know that they're clicking on the Apple website. But if you're not an Apple, if you're in your hometown or whatever, as an agency, you're not recognized. People don't care if you're this agency or that agency. They just want that service done. So whether it's roof repair, whether it's your hair salon, whatever it may be, people want your service done. And so they don't care which business you are. And so they just want to make sure that on the title tag or the meta description, you say what you're going to do. So having the business name there is actually taking up space, which you could actually use, help you rank higher on Google and help you get on search engines. I would say for most businesses that are starting out, you don't want to put your brand name. If you've been in business for 5 years, you have a reputation in your town, or you have a reputation online, or people might be searching for you specifically. There's other tricks around this, but in any case, people are searching for you specifically. You want to have your brand in there included, or else you'll be good to go. Unique titles for every single page. So this is the fourth point here. You have 200 pages on your website. You want unique titles for every single one of those, and hopefully you want the best scenario is you want your title tags to be matching what your header is going to be like. So if your header on your website is Roofing Company Montreal, you want that header to be the first part of your title tag, just so that, again, for the conversion rate, increases the conversion rate there. Using dates. If you have a service business that is on the cutting edge, consider writing the year inside your title tag. If you have blogs, if you have anything that's informative, using the year is probably going to increase your conversion rate. It's also going to help Google rank you for those things, because if people are searching, best strategies for roof maintenance in 2025, well, you're going to want to pop up for that as well. So something to consider. But for most service businesses that are offering a service that's more, more long-standing, like a roofing company, hasn't changed that much in those 50 last years, it's not going to be worth it for you to have that real estate, that title tag real estate, to be spent on a year, on a date. That's that there. Then avoid keyword stuffing. So if you have, this is just for Google doesn't consider you as spammy. So you don't want to put, if you know that the best keywords are roofing, roof, roofer, you don't want to put roofing, roof, roofer, NYC, New York City, New York. That's Google's probably going to they're likely going to see that. Number one, it doesn't read itself well. So if somebody's reading that, it doesn't read well. Then in second case, Google's probably going to notice that, and they're going to rank you down because of it. So something to take into consideration there. Then again, testing and optimization. So top priority is to test your title tags. If they have a large effect on your ranking. So you could test, for click-through rates. So how likely it is that this variation of a title tag gets people to actually click on my thing, and also how much does this variation help me to rank higher? So you can test those two factors out. The easiest one to test is the conversion rate, because if people are clicking on it, then it's an easy test to do. If you're doing a test for rankings, those might vary depending on the time. Like, it's not an automatic thing where it's as soon as you change it, you're going to rank up or rank lower. It might take time to do so. So those are more wishy-washy type of optimizations to make, but in any case, something to take into consideration. Again, if you download these trainings, I have a bunch of links. These are affiliate links, so I do make a commission, but in most cases, but in some cases, let's say like this Google Search Console, I make no commission on it. You can use those links to get the softwares you may need to do all these things. Now, meta descriptions, it's the secondary part here. So we have the title tag, we have the meta description. This is where you could basically stuff as many keywords as you want in a paragraph that makes sense to try to rank those keywords at the top. These affect conversion rate a little bit less than the title tag, but they still do, because most people don't read through this section. Well, people do, but I mean, it's less people read through it. So you could stuff it more to try to get higher rankings on Google compared to the conversion rate boost. You know, the other one is more of a 50-50, title tag's more of a 50-50. This one's probably an 80-20, I would say. So key points: pages with a meta description tend to see higher click-through rates compared to those without. So instead of letting Google fill them out for you, you should fill them out yourselves. Do it properly with the keyword strategy that we were talking before. Social media platforms may display the meta description when a page is shared. So if you're sharing a page to someone, this is something also, I believe it's in this training or another one. In any case, there's a social share image. So when you're sharing, somebody's sharing your website link to somebody else, they're going to share it. You're going to see the title tag, you're going to see the meta description, you're going to see a social share image. So you can modify all three of those aspects. So if you do that, well, that increases the likelihood that if somebody shared your link, it just looks more attractive for the person to click on it. You can put your phone number, that image, you can put, more information there. So it just makes it, increases conversion rate in these many ways. But at the same time, if you have everything optimized like this, then at least you're rest assured that your SEO is not the issue in your business, not the constraint in your business. So best practices: benefit-driven copy. Clearly state the benefit of the page. For instance, if the page is a description of your roofing service, highlight how your service can help customers with issues of their roof. So basically, if people are looking at the description, they want to make sure that the page is what they're looking for. So you want to reassure that idea. Character limit, keep it under 155 characters. Again, this is going to depend on the type of characters you have. So you have to test it out in these like softwares, like previous softwares. But in any case, check out, try to make it under 155 so it's all readable there. Incorporate high click-through rate phrases from Google Ads. So this is a side trick even for title tags. If you're running Google Ads and you see that certain title tags or certain meta descriptions are converting higher, you could use those within your normal page meta descriptions. Include current year or month. So for time-sensitive content pages, once again, including the year and the month can help your click-through rate. Keyword inclusion and front loading. So same principle as the title tag. You want your best keywords to be at the front. So if we go back up, you would try to do a sentence, or we try to do a paragraph that would start with roof repair services for residential roof installations. It's getting a little odd, this structuring, but this is how you would try to set it up, as well as commercial roof maintenance for shingle roofs, or something like that. So you would set up the structure in a way that would be communicative, so people could read it and actually make sense of it, as well as try to stuff in the most keywords you can do. You could stuff it without getting banned. So second point, oops, let me go back here. So it's probably going to be the same thing. So avoid keyword stuffing. Anyways, same principle for this one here. Uniqueness, each page, once again, should have it differently. You have 200 pages, worth it for you to do the 200 ones, or all 200, or else Google are doing it for you. In that case, you're probably losing on rankings and conversion rates. Long tail keywords, so use long tail keywords exactly as they're typed by visitors. So example, roof repair Montreal instead of we repair roofs in Montreal. So you want to structure that sentence, you want to make your sentence around exactly what people are typing. So implementation tips: update descriptions whenever site changes or new information is needed to be added. Use a tester like Mongo's links there to test how the meta description will look on Google before publishing. You can use a software like Wix for user-friendly, easy implementation. For most web design software, you could use basically any single one of them to do all these changes. They're done pretty easily nowadays. URLs. This is something people don't consider much. Something to think about. So instead of having your URL, so URL basically is the link here that's going to be shown. It's a link that people land on. So you're gonna have your domain, and then you're gonna have the extra section, which is your URL. That URL, some people don't have anything important there. They maybe have, about us, or they might, let's say your homepage, you're saying home, about us, you're going to say about us, career, you're going to say career. What you could actually do is implement some keywords in there. So instead of just having about us, it could be about our roofing company, about our residential roofing company. So you could add those keywords there to increase the likelihood that helps you rank. From what I understand, Google doesn't really help you rank for URLs, but that might increase conversion rate slightly because people are going to see that word, roofing company in the section here instead of an about us, and that might attract them more. So it might increase conversion rates slightly, I have to add. But in any case, it might help it. And so anyways, that's it for URLs. Best practices: user-friendly. Consider making URLs easy to type, making easier by using simple, short words that don't cause confusion when reading. So you don't want, to have it set up like this where people can't really write. You want to set up like this so people see it, and that increases your conversion rate. And also, this is a side note, for Bing, I believe domains and URLs have an effect on your search rankings. So if you have your domain your domain is roofingcompanymontreal.com, that's going to help you rank higher. On Google, I believe they stopped rewarding that, but in any case, for Bing, it's worth it. So this could help you for Bing. So something to consider. Use a keyword, so incorporate a target keyword in your URL. This helps Google. This helps tell Google the primary focus of your page, adding in content relevance and search rankings. This is not a guarantee. This is still a subject that's iffy. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Doesn't hurt to help. Doesn't hurt to do it. Use hyphens to separate words instead of this. This just looks bad if somebody has a URL that's highlighted or something like that where the underline is there. So this just might look off. Not more of a reason for it. Just looks better aesthetically. Might just be easier to read. Lowercase letters, higher case letters just makes it confusing, especially if the domain is, because the domain is always going to be lowercase letters, so it just makes it too confusing. Avoid using dates. They make it unnecessarily long and usually have no value unless you have a blog that's specifically for that. So blog or a page that's specifically for that year. So something to consider then. Prefer subfolders over subdomains. So this is basically having this setup here. So having the domain first, then the URL, instead of having the URL extension, then the domain. This helps, I believe, for SEO. I'm not too sure on the effect. This is something we'd have to check into, but from what we noticed, this just seems to be this industry standard for even every single SEO company, every single large businesses, how they structure their stuff. They usually use it for if they have a software that's within their business. Open graph image is the image I was talking about that is used when you're sharing. So you can create an open graph image with the measurements of 1200 pixels by 630 pixels. This is the image that shows up when your URL is shared. Great way to show your brand properly and make your link stand out. What we did for, let's say, one of the businesses we worked with is that URL, that link share image, actually has their phone number on it. So it shows their business as well as their phone number. So that if somebody gets the link shared, they don't even have to click on the link. They could just call them. So it just increases, how much does it really increase conversion rate? How much does that really help? I don't know. If it's one client a year, then it's one client a year. So in any case, you could set these up pretty easily. Now, featured snippets. So Google Optimize. So featured snippets, if I go back here, I'm referring to things like this. So you see how they have 4.7 stars, 302 reviews, or this person has their pages showing up here. So, different little optimizations like that you could set up. Basically, if I go down and I show you here, again, it's taking a little time to load. All right, so, actually I'm gonna go down, it's gonna be easier to see. So you have rich snippets, so also known as rich results. So if you see here, it's difficult to see, but in any case, rich snippets, normal Google searches would with additional data displayed. This extra data is usually pulled from structured data found in the page's HTML. Common rich snippet types include reviews, recipes, and events. So you could add rich snippets. You could add a definition box. You could add a table. So you could add a table here like this. So actually, this is the rich snippet I'm talking about here. So it's actually kind of a 2-for-1. So the definition box is this. So you could set this up, and this is how you would set this up. Then after that, you have the table. So this is how you would set up the table here. So if you want things to show up like this, for most service businesses, these are not going to apply. That's why I'm kind of scrolling through them. In any case, then you have the ordered list. So if you have a recipe or you're doing list, you could actually set these things up. And I have, I believe in the training, I have a link, I believe at the top. In any case, I believe probably lower down. Anyways, I'm going to show you guys after, but there's probably a link to actually set these things up within Google. They have guides. So if you go to Google, I believe Google Search Console, and you search up how to set up, or you just Google how to set up a structured data or featured snippets, you could set this up. They have a whole guide on how to set all of these things up. So this is just an overview here. Let's now get to the domain name. So domain name, little optimizations you could do for the domain name. So the subdomain, domain name, and the top level domain. So this part here we're talking about, you could, the strategies, a few strategies you could implement. You could first have a domain name that has your business name plus your service. That might help with conversion rate when people are seeing it, but it might not help you in the sense that if people are trying to type you, they might forget that that word is in it, or it's too long to search, so you might lose searches there. So it's difficult to see, to really state how much of an effect it has or how much of an effect it doesn't have. In any case, it could be something interesting to note. Most cases you want to keep it short and simple. You might want to include the relevant keywords like I was saying here. So instead of just ABC company, or ABC Inc. or ABC whatever, let's say the name of your company is ABC, you might want to do ABC Roofing. So if that's your options, then maybe it's something to do. And like I mentioned before, for Bing, you can have some ranking help. It can actually help you rank higher if you do these types of optimization for your domains if you're using Bing. If the client is using Bing, so it might get you to rank higher. Avoid hyphens and numbers. Choose the right domain extension. So if you're in Canada, you might want to do .ca and also .com. In most cases, if you're in Canada, I think you should do both. You should buy both. It might cost you $20 more a year to have the .com domain. This just ensures that if somebody's searching for your business and they type .com, it's going to redirect to your website. So instead of just having a page that says the website, the website is off or whatever, for whatever reason that person will use .com instead of .ca because they think you're a .com, you're at least going to have that redirected to you. Now, there's multiple ways to go about it. If you're an AI company, you might want to do .ai. You want to, if you're a store, you might want to do .store. You want to buy all those domain extensions. Most cases, if you're in Canada, I think you would say .ca.com. The United States .com. Maybe some other ones. Like it depends. It's going to depend on your market. It's going to depend on your industry. In any case, something to consider. You could also purchase keyword domains. So some people, when searching for service for region, they might type in the service and region in the domain search bar. So you can capitalize on that by purchasing the most common domains people are searching up. So people might type in roofingmontreal.com instead of some older people or people who are less familiar with the internet. Instead of typing roofing Montreal into Google, they're going to write roofingmontreal.com. So this is why some domains, like I believe it's cars.com or something like that, like it's a car insurance company or a car selling company, they bought that domain for something like $10 million because the amount of traffic that that page was getting just by the fact of people typing cars.com, even if that business didn't exist, just the fact people are typing that in because that's where they think they could purchase a car. So some people do that, and so you could capitalize on that by having that domain. So some domains like that increase your traffic to your website. So side note here, how much of an effect is that going to have on your local service business? Maybe not much. Maybe this is a higher tier thing to do. Another example I could give you is, let's say Amazon. It happens to me sometimes where when I type Amazon, I type it too fast, and I type, let's say AM. I don't type the A, and then I go Zon. So Amazon.com. So what happens is that the page is blank. But those times, if they would have purchased that domain, it would have redirected me to the website. Now, for them, it might be worth it because you have 100,000 people a year making that mistake. And out of those 100,000 people, there's 20,000 people that get discouraged and say, you know what, I don't even want to go shop on Amazon anymore. Or the page is broken, they think the page is broken, whatever, they quit. So you can capitalize on that by having those domains. They cost you $20 a year, depending on the domain, and you might get some profits from that. So this is a higher level strategy, but in any case, something to be interesting. And this is the type I was talking about with Amazon, let's say. So if your company has a very typical typo that people might be writing, it's a hard word, or it's something that people are not sure about. Let's say us who are Vizions Digital, so it might be worth it for us to have one that's Vizions Digital with an S instead of the Z, just to increase the likelihood that if people are actually typing that in, we're actually going to show up for them. So that's it there. Now, part 3.2, how to optimize website for the SEO. So how do you actually optimize the content of your page, or your pages, for search engine rankings. So what does SEO for main pages entail? SEO for main pages involves applying specific strategies to the home, about, service, and contact pages, and basically every other page, to improve the visibility and the rankings in search engine results. Basically optimizing all the main pages on your site that will get the most traffic and will be used as templates for programmatic pages. We're going to explain that later on. So in terms of the best practices for this, so optimizing keywords to rank. So integrate in your content the main keywords you're looking to rank for. So like we were saying the formula before, so if you have those 10 main keywords, you want to use those, and you want to have those at the front. So front load the ones you rate at the highest value. So you basically want to, let's say your title is, like you were saying before, your title is Roofing Montreal. Your title tag is Roofing Montreal. You want your title on your actual website to be Roofing Montreal, maybe something else, but Roofing Montreal. Then you have your business name or whatever, but in any case, you want those keywords to be front and center. You want them to be as high as possible in the page, because that's how Google reads through the page. They read from top to bottom, I believe. In any case, you want that information to be at the top because that increases conversion rate. So for both reasons, you should do it. And then you have, after that, we're going to talk about H1, H2, H3 headers, but you want to have your description to have the same or most of the same keywords as your meta description, to make sure that the same intent as your meta description, to make sure that people understand that this is the same page that they clicked on, or that increasing conversion rate. So you want to have basically the best keywords at the front, second best keyword second, third best keyword third, and so on and so forth. Same principle as the title tags and meta descriptions. For the images and videos, you can include relevant images and videos to make your pages more engaging. You can modify the alt text. So this is some SEO aspects. So your image has a text describing it. You can modify that and put some keywords in there. You don't want to stuff it because that's basically against Google's guidelines. But what you want to do is actually describe the image with as many keywords as you could put, basically. And that's going to help you rank. So let's say if somebody's searching for your service in images, you're going to probably pop up. How much does that help? How much of a conversion rate does that increase? It's tough to tell depending on the industry, depending on the business you're in. But at this point, you have 100 images in your whole website. You just take the time to change every single one of them. It takes you 30 minutes, and you probably have some leads coming in from Google Images, especially if you're a visual business. So if people are looking for maybe roofing designs or something like that, or roof repair designs, or maybe if you're a hair salon, hairstyles, possible hairstyles, they might jump in on your profile. Hairstyles Montreal, they might jump in on your profile, see it in the Google Images, and then book a call just from seeing that image. So things to consider there. Same thing for your videos, you could add those there. Publishing/editing the date. So write publishing date or editing date at the start of informational content, as well as within content to rank for it. So if you are trying to rank for something, like we were saying, if you have a blog that's up to date or informational content, you want to add those dates there at the top, ideally, or the way that people will structure it when they're typing it. So if they're typing roof repair tips 2025, you want to show 2025 at the top of it here. Regular updates, keep the content to your main pages fresh and up to date. Regular updates signal to search engines that your website is relevant, which can help maintain and improve your rankings. Update whenever page is losing traffic or when content is changed. This is going to apply more to blogs. For most service businesses, your homepage, you might not want to change it. It might be counterproductive for you to change it too much. But if you have blogs that are underperforming, things that people aren't reading anymore, maybe you spruce up the content, you change it up, use AI, you can use whatever type of software, just to change the structure of it, or even add content to it. That's gonna re-indicate to Google that they should check it again and potentially rank you higher. Same thing as changing the date. So if you have the date 2024 from last year, you want to update that to 2025, and so on and so forth through the years. Now, for the probably most interesting part of SEO is going to be programmatic SEO. And the reason I say the most interesting part is that we've seen in terms of our results, like I was showing before, we have the company Elko Roofing that we had 308% increase in visitors per month. And the main reason why is because we did them a 200-page website. Now, this increase is going to go through time, so I'm going to probably be making a case study in the future because these things take a little bit of time to take into effect. But in any case, and even the other business we helped, we were able to increase their website visitors, let's say by 100%, and that was by increasing the amount of pages, let's say by 20. And so programmatic SEO basically comes down to creating as many pages as you can for your business and showing them in a way or presenting them in a way so that you rank for different keywords. So whatever somebody's going to be searching for, so let's say like we were saying the list before, you have those 50 main keywords. Whatever people are going to be searching for those keywords, you want to have a page dedicated to that. So whether it's a service, whether it's a location, whether it's a service and location, you want to have a page dedicated to all those things. Ideally, you'd have 1 million pages, but realistically, it doesn't make sense. And then Google kind of penalizes you. It's difficult to say because all this information is more guesswork because Google doesn't come out and say how their algorithms work. But in any case, you cannot, by having too many pages, you kind of dilute the content, the overall content of your website, and that kind of leads your whole website to have a lower ranking in Google's eyes. So you still want the content to be hyper relatable and hyper engaging with the client, so that actually when they end up on the page, you don't want to have random pages for variations of a letter. You know what I mean? So if it's roofing Montreal, you're not going to have roofing's Montreal page for that one person that searches. So in any case, I would say for most businesses, most local service business starting out, or most businesses that are in the mid stage, 20 pages seems to be good to have your main services and your main locations. That's going to help you rank a lot better. And then after that, if you're looking to expand even more, then maybe you're looking at 200-page website. Maybe every month you're adding 20 pages just to keep it fresh and keep it up to date with Google's eyes. So typical example, so service business like a roofing company, you might offer 3 different services and serve 20 different cities. So you would create a total of 60 pages, 20 times 3, each with a title, description, and content specific to the region of service, as well as a different title tag, meta description, URL. You want all that information to be different. You want even your snippets to be different. You want the page to be the same. It could be the same structure because when you're doing these multiple pages, it's difficult to design every single one. It gets extensive and it gets expensive to design every single one differently. So maybe the design is the same, but every single piece of the content is going to be different on one page to the next. So every single word is going to be different. Every single image is going to be different, but the structure of it could stay the same. And that just allows for you to a higher likelihood that you rank without Google recognizing that page is just a duplicate page. So yes, they are duplicate in terms of structure and design, but Google doesn't really search for that. They really search for the content. So if your images and your videos and your text is different, then you should be in the clear. An out-of-box example of this is, as a real estate agent, you could create a page on your website that goes through the prices and details of the houses of all celebrities in your town, very search for subject. And at the end of the page, you can include a section selling your services to people looking to buy homes. So basically, I'm giving you the example of a blog. If you have a blog, you could write about basically anything, and you could just post those things, and then at the end you offer your services. So it could be it could be direct in terms of it's your service and your location that you're serving, but it could also be indirect. There was also this business that were selling shoes. They were selling shoes that have heels on them, hidden heels for men. So short men that are looking to have to look taller. So you have those heels within those shoes, and so they would do a page of basically what let's say what Kevin Hart would look like if he was 5 inches taller, and then they would have a whole page describing that, and at the end they would have a link, or within it they would have a link to the shoes. That increases sales because they're getting so much traffic for people just curious about what Kevin Hart would look like if he was taller, and then what is Kevin Hart's height, and then they would do the whole description of it, and then at the end they would have those shoes, and then some sales from that. So you see how you could be indirect with these things as well. You don't have to be straightforward. It's your service, your page, your location. It could also be very varying. So in the case, let's say Valco Roofing, we did other cities. So this is just a snippet of it. There's more of them. So we did, I believe it was 80 cities. So we did 80 cities, and we had 6 services. No, excuse me. We had 20 service pages, 80 city pages, and then something like 100 blog pages, and that totaled to 200 in total. So why is it important? Allows websites to cover potentially thousands of keyword variations to get more eyeballs and sales on the site. The creation of web pages can be automated, saves time and resources in managing large-scale SEO campaigns. With AI now, it's simpler than ever. There's a tool called Journalist AI, which basically you can create 1,000 pages, and all the content's going to be completely different, and it's going to be the actual AI takes care of what Google's searching for at the moment, so that adapts himself to it. So in any case, it's getting you get very, very comfortable with the idea of automating all these things. Effectively captures traffic from highly specific queries, which often have lower competition, higher conversion rates. So this is an important aspect to it. So like we're saying before, you might have a high intent keyword that is super long, but it's not worth it for you to create a page completely designed for it. You want to use a programmatic page for that. So basically a copy of design, and just change the content to target that person. That person is looking for that service. So those pages, even if they get 10 visitors a year, maybe those visitors are hyper in demand, searching for that service type of people. So even if the search volume doesn't creep up that much, those 10 visitors, out of those 10, you have 3 people contact you. You have a 30% conversion rate on that page. And then from those 3, you have 2 of them that purchase from you. So you see how those pages, even though they might not be as high as search volume, they could actually end up being very profitable for your business. Best practices here: template optimization. This is just a speed thing. So you want to design SEO friendly templates for automatically generated pages. Content uniqueness and quality. You want to basically have everything different. We used to do 50% of it different, just to not go through all the work of changing everything. I would say, if that, just change everything. Just make sure, especially now that Google's cranking in on AI automation, stuff like that, they're trying to reduce the amount of AI content online. You basically want to just blast completely new messaging there. SEO fundamentals: apply all traditional SEO practices to each page, so including optimizing the header tags, internal linking, mobile responsiveness, and fast loading times. Monitor and optimize. Use analytics and SEO tools to track the performance of your programmatic pages. Look for trends in traffic and rankings. There might be trends, new trends popping up. So maybe every month you want to do 5 pages on these new trends coming up, how they relate to your business, especially for businesses that are more, they change more with the trends. So let's say if you're a hair salon, you might have a new hairstyle cut, you have a wolf cut, you have a mullet, or whatever it may be. You want to have a page dedicated to those services. Maybe you're offering them now and you want to add those as well. So you're modifying those things. And this is the easiest one to use to create programmatic pages in Wix. I find Wix is simple to use for that, but it lacks some SEO capabilities in the programmatic pages, which go high level, or even WordPress can do that for you. Conclusion: front end SEO. What can I potentially do for your business? So I'm just going to go through the math a little bit of why this might even be worth it, which I should have done in the beginning, but at the same time, I'm going to cover it here. So if you watch to this point, you can just see what type of effect I have. Actually, let me go back here. I'm actually going to show you guys a different way to calculate everything here. Again, taking a little time to load. So if I go to our profit calculator here, let me open up this page. All right, so let's say we have a business here that has 2,000 visitors a month. The conversion rate is 3%, close rate is 30%, average order value is 2,000, return rate is 2%, revenue 35,000 approximately, monthly profit around $8,000/$9,000 a month. Now, if you were to increase the amount of visitors with these statistics, so by the way, if you guys get access to this bundle, to the optimization funnel, you also get access to this projections calculator, so you can put in your own numbers here and then see what actually is worth it for you the most to improve on. Let's say you were to increase the search engine results by double, so literally doubling the amount of views, like we were saying before with the business we worked with. Now you're literally doubling your profit here. So you see how doubling the amount of leads, if everything else stays the same, your conversion rate, your close rate, your average order value, the rest stays the same. You double the amount of people that come to your business, you double your business, double the amount of profit you're making. Now, the advantage of doing front end SEO and all these SEO optimizations is you might even get a conversion rate boost, because like we were saying, if you're adapting it from the title tag to your actual page, and you increase the likelihood that people actually click on your link, now you're getting a conversion rate boost. So let's say on your website, you're getting a 10% conversion rate boost. And now you're up to, let's say in this case, an increase of $10,000. And the beauty of it is that if you go through this funnel, every single part that you optimize, if it's in different sections, it's exponential on one another. They're not additive, they're multiplicative. Because if you're adding to this here, now you're getting 10% more conversion rate, not on just your initial 2,000, but on also the added 2,000 that you're doing. So now it's 10% on this, the initial, plus you're adding more, you're getting 10% on those more. Now you're adding a close rate boost, which we talk about in other videos. So you're increasing your close rate. Now you're getting a boost of close rate that's affected by the increase in conversion rate, which is also affected by the increase in visitors. So you're getting an exponentially larger profit margin. So you see here how the curve, so it curves and it trends upward because of this exponential feature of improving these things in sequences there. In any case, 5-year projections here. If you guys download this, you could have even projections and see what the future improvements can make. So if you were to calculate, if you were to hire an agency, and you say, and that person guarantees you to say double the amount of visitors with the same conversion rate, then you could assume you could double your business. And if most of your leads or all of your leads are coming from your website, let's say. But in any case, if you're increasing that, and then we talk in other videos how to increase your Google My Business visitors, your social media, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it for this video. So this is the section about front end SEO. In the future, I'll be probably doing videos on back end SEO, link building SEO. In this here, we have also one thing that I forgot to mention, and that wasn't mentioned, is the H1, H2, H3 tags. This is just a simple principle, is that let's say you have a title in your website. That title, you want it to match your title tag that we're talking about, the header. You want to assign that the H1 tag. So that will be your H1 tag. Then your H2 tag is going to be your secondary title, and you can have multiple of those. And then your H3 tag, you can have multiple of those too, and those will be your paragraph titles, let's say. This just helps Google recognize, okay, well, this is your main title, this is your secondary title, this is your third title. One thing to keep in mind with the H1 tags is you do not want to have multiple H1 tags. You only have one title. And then you could also have the P tags, the paragraph tags for your descriptions. So in any case, but the H1 tag, you only want to have one. It's going to be your main title. And then whatever is next is going to be your H2, your H3, depending on how they're structured. Those have a less big of an effect, but in any case, important to set up. And then that's just going to structure it so that Google understands, okay, what is the main thing that people are going to see? What is the second main thing? What is the third main thing? That helps you with your rankings. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I actually want to keep adding to this. I want to, if you guys have any ideas, you have any comments, you have any things you'd like to know about more, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to add to this. I want to make it bigger. I want to make it more in depth. I'm probably going to add in the future some more in-depth features. So, you could go down here and then let's say in keyword research, I would have all the information in the training and add it all here so that it's even more it's even easier to understand, because sometimes in the document I find it a little tough to understand, but hopefully with this whole funnel you could see how everything has an effect on everything else and how all these things are interconnected. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.